Welcome to this explainer. Right now, literally as we speak, there's this hidden, incredibly high-stakes battle quietly raging all across the globe. It's a struggle for the exact resource that is actively powering our future. We're always hearing about the wonders of modern technology, right? The green tech revolution, the transition to a cleaner world, all that good stuff. But what we don't often hear about is the incredibly complex geopolitical chessboard operating behind the scenes to make all of that actually happen. So today, we're exposing that hidden reality and bringing it front and center.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because to really understand where we're going, we first have to understand exactly where we've been. Think about the entire 20th century. The global economy ran on one undeniable truth. It was the age of oil. Global power, local economies, international conflicts, they were all largely dictated by who controlled the black gold flowing from those massive refineries. But the 21st century? Well, it's seen a drastic, almost unprecedented shift. We're aggressively moving away from that heavy, polluting oil infrastructure and moving toward a totally new reliance. We're talking gleaming electric vehicle batteries, clean tech, advanced electronics. The transition is absolute. We have fundamentally traded the age of oil for the age of lithium.
Section 1. Naya Saffaid Sona, or the new white gold.
It's wild to think about, but this single metal is the absolute foundation of our modern, interconnected lives. Every single time you pick up your smartphone to scroll, you're relying on it. When you see one of those sleek Teslas gliding silently down the street, it's powered by it. It's completely ubiquitous, yet somehow totally invisible to the average consumer. So let's define exactly what it is. White gold is just the popular term for lithium. In its powdered form, it actually looks exactly like pure white sand or salt, but its value is astronomical. Why? Well, because it's the lightest metal on the periodic table, and it has this unbelievable capacity to store energy. That makes it highly coveted and, at least for right now, totally irreplaceable. It is the literal backbone for modern EV batteries. Without it, the whole green revolution just stops dead in its tracks. And because it's so incredibly vital to our future, a silent, invisible global war has already started just to secure every last available ounce of the stuff.
Section 2. The Lithium Triangle.
So you might be wondering, where is all this white gold actually coming from? In the vast expanse of the Earth, you'd probably logically think a resource this vital would be, somewhat evenly distributed across the continents. But nature apparently had a very different plan for the 21st century economy. The staggering reality here is that over 50%, literally more than half of the entire world's lithium supply, is concentrated in the ground of this bizarre geographic anomaly. It's located in just 3 South American countries, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. This high-altitude region of salt flats holds the keys to the entire world's technological future. And meanwhile, the absolute entirety of the rest of the world just has to scramble for the remaining fragmented pieces of the pie.
Now, what's really interesting here is the incredibly imbalanced power dynamic at play. You might look at this and think that owning the resources makes South America the undisputed king of the future economy, right? But the reality is way more complicated. South America has the resources in their ground, for sure, but China invested heavily in infrastructure over a decade ago, which means they currently control the vast majority of the actual mining, processing, and refining operations. Meanwhile, the end-user technology, the massive tech companies and automakers actually taking these batteries to build cars and energy grids, well, they sit heavily in the US and Europe. Think about what that actually means. The countries that own the dirt don't actually control the processing of it, nor do they control the ultimate technology that utilizes it. It's like a giant puzzle, resulting in a highly fragmented, incredibly fragile global supply chain.
Which naturally leads us to a massive looming question. Looking at that fragmented chain, where one region has the dirt, another region has the shovels, and the third region holds the blueprints, is lithium destined to become the next oil crisis? Just like those paralyzing oil shocks back in the 20th century, what exactly happens if one leg of that triad suddenly decides to cut off the others? The inherent fragility here is precisely what's keeping global leaders awake at night.
Section 3. Jung, Energy Sovereignty Key, which means the war for energy sovereignty.
So we're shifting the narrative deeper beneath the surface now. What we see on the top are shiny new cars and smart home devices. But what's happening underneath is a fierce, multilateral geopolitical Cold War. There's a saying, whoever controls lithium controls the next 100 years of technology. The stakes here are absolutely monumental. This isn't just about selling a few more electric cars, it is literally about writing the history of the next century. Whether we're talking about advanced AI grids, top-tier military technology, or just your daily commute, everything requires high-density batteries. This explains exactly why global superpowers are so incredibly desperate to secure this stuff. To lose out on lithium is basically to lose out on the future itself.
Let's map out how this actually looks on the global chessboard. Right now, there's a clear and stark division of capabilities. On one side, we have China, which made these early, highly strategic moves. By locking down contracts and building immense processing infrastructure years before anyone else even realized what was happening, they currently dominate global mining operations and those critical supply chains. On the flip side, we have the USA and Europe. Because they lagged behind in securing the raw extraction networks and processing plants early on, they are now rapidly scrambling. I mean, they're pushing massive subsidies to find alternative routes, trying to build local battery gigafactories, and just desperately trying to secure their own local access. We are literally watching Western nations rush to rewrite global supply chains and play catch-up in real time.
So the crucial point to take away from all this is the concept of energy sovereignty. What is it? It's a nation's absolute control and independence over its own energy resources and supply chains. When the US, Europe, and China are fighting over these lithium supply lines, it isn't just some corporate business rivalry between car manufacturers fighting for market share. No, it is a fundamental battle for national survival, security, and independence. Simply put, absolutely no nation wants to rely on a geopolitical rival for the very energy that runs their entire economy.
But amidst all this talk of advanced tech, grand geopolitical strategy, and this whole transition away from oil, there is a deeply uncomfortable question we really need to ask. Is lithium truly green? We've been sold this narrative that moving to EVs and battery power is the ultimate solution to our environmental woes, right? We're constantly told it's a completely clean, zero-emission future. But is that actually the whole truth?
Section 4. Green Energy Kikimet. The price of green energy.
We are now plunging to the very bottom of this iceberg to expose the hidden realities of the industry. Because as it turns out, the cost of extracting this clean energy is anything but clean. Let's quickly walk through these hidden environmental costs. To extract this green metal from the earth, particularly in the super-arid landscapes of that South American Lithium Triangle we talked about, the process relies heavily on evaporation. It requires pumping literally millions of gallons of underground mineral-rich water right up to the surface. In this aggressive extraction, it leads to the sheer devastation of these ancient natural salt flats. And the human cost is just as severe. The whole process results in extreme water scarcity for the local communities and indigenous groups living near these mining operations, completely drying up landscapes that have sustained them for generations. It's a harsh, brutal irony. We are extracting a metal that's meant to help save the Earth's atmosphere, but the physical process of getting it out of the ground is actively degrading the very environments it comes from.
It really forces us to confront this deeply unsettling paradox. Are we choking the Earth to save it? In our desperate, frantic rush to abandon oil and embrace the cleaner future, are we simply trading one massive environmental challenge for another, entirely new one?
And that leaves us right here, at the ultimate crossroads. The age of oil is undoubtedly coming to an end, but what exactly is replacing it? Will this new age of lithium actually bring about the peaceful, green, and sustainable future we've all been promised? Or is this desperate global rush for white gold simply going to usher in a new era of environmental degradation and intense hostility? Look at all the evidence we've just unpacked in this explainer. What do you think? I really want you to leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'll meet again in the next explainer because, as always, that was informative.